I need to sit taller, huh? Okay, does anybody have a stool that I can put on this chair to raise me up? First of all, I'd like to open the meeting of the Shasta County Board of Appeals, Building Appeals. My name is Bob Miller, and on my right here,
John Page.
and on my right, you on somebody right? Go ahead.
Charlie O'Donnell.
Can't hear you, Charles.
Charlie O'Donnell.
Okay, the first thing on the order is public comment period, and the open time, we kind of want to hold it to 3 minutes. We do have a timer up here, and I don't want to be rude and cut you off, but try to wrap it up as quickly as you can after I ask you to wrap it up. The first person we have is Arnold Sargent, and the second is Troy Stark, and there's about 7 people that have requested. We have a microphone over here for you to come up to, and because like me, we want everybody here to hear what you say too. So it is the one right there. Okay, Arnold, if you'd come up, and Troy, if you'll kind of be ready for the come up the second time. Don't bunch up on them, but at least be ready. Okay.
I was hoping not to be first. My name is Arnold Sargent, and I'm surprised there's only 3. I thought this was a 5-member panel, but perhaps you could maybe go into that a little bit for the folks here, because I don't understand why there's only 3 of you. You only met once in, the last 22 years. Anyway, to cut to the chase, I'm not a particularly religious man, but it doesn't mean in my lifetime I haven't had intense moments of prayer, generally before something bad was about to happen to me. The proof that I'm still here is either that prayer works or I'm pretty lucky. I'll find out when I meet my maker. But I've had plenty of those occasions throughout my life, and one of the opportunities, though, on the flip side, was to go up to Anselmo's property within the past year and see that chapel that seems to be the subject of so much scrutiny and disdain on the part of the county folks. It's a wonderful, beautiful piece of architecture. The inside of it is just rich with wood, and the stained glass windows are basically inspirational. I've been into also your Department of Resource Management, and I don't get the same feel of inspiration coming from that. Although, to be fair to those folks, resource management, they're important. They regulate our food, they regulate the water we drink, they regulate the air we breathe, and by God, they regulate the land we walk on. And so, you can forgive them for sometimes thinking they're a little bit godlike, but sometimes they do get a little bit self-serving. And therein lies the problem, I think, with this whole debacle over what's going on. I think our good folks in the county Department of Resource Management, both the predecessor and the current leadership, they forgot that they're public servants. And they are there to serve us. No, it's not the other way around. In this chapel, I do believe in right and wrong, and I do believe in good, and we sure see an abundance of evil in this world, so we know that evil exists. But this chapel is a good thing. It's a house of God. It's in God's country, overlooking a vineyard. That's about as good of a dedication to God as you can get. And I think you need to step up to the plate and do what the Resource Management Department has been unable to do, and that's back off and let this chapel stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Hey, after reading all about this project in the paper for the last year and a half or so, I only live about 3 miles from there, and so I better go see the place, even though I'm not a wine drinker. So the other day I drove up there And I looked at the place, and I'd say in general, that from a business standpoint, he's overspent on everything. He's wasted a lot of money. It's a beautiful place. Everything is gorgeous. And it took me about 3 minutes to approve the whole thing. Now, furthermore, when I first moved to Bernie, I had connections in the Bay Area. I worked as an electrical engineer, and I thought, well, I'll manufacture power supplies because I knew a company that was moving and wanting more ground. So I considered that, but then when you find out that you're going to use trichloroethylene for cleaning fluids and things, and about that time there was a printed circuit board in northern Reading that tried to move into a larger building. They spent 2 years and couldn't get permitted because of the contamination with printed circuit boards, which there is contamination, I agree, I've built circuit boards also. But the problem with Shasta County is that there's no industry here. You got a railroad, you got Highway 5 corridor, and you got an airport, or sort of an airport that could be an airport. But Shasta County is just a place where old people come to die. They got good hospitals, and I blamed it all on the planning commission. I had a neighbor. Up on me up towards Shingletown. I live about 8 miles this side of Shingletown. I had a neighbor that wanted to subdivide some land to build. She had, what, I don't know, 600 acres or so. She spent about 3 years. Finally, she got part of it subdivided. It's almost like the county doesn't want any industry, and they want everybody to live in the city or something. I don't understand the attitude at all of that. And I would like to see Reading have more industry. If I lived here and I was raising my family, if I sent my kids to college, which a couple did, they'd have to leave to get a job. They'd have to go to San Jose. I've spent 20 years in the Bay Area working in the electronics industry, and if tomorrow I lose my retirement and everything, first thing I'd do is move to the Bay Area to find a job. There are no jobs here. And, well, that's a little bit. I would like to see Shasta County become more of a manufacturing and industrial city, but you gotta accept some dirty manufacturing. All the manufacturing I've been associated with my entire life is dirty in a certain way. There are certain things. You use chemicals. In the Bay Area, I was building printed circuit boards. Well, EPA, and they come in, you have to recover all these gases. So you're heating a resin, just like you find from a pine tree when you burn a piece of wood. Well, you have to capture all those. Well, I had just spent $6,000 for a soldering machine, and I can't use that. I gotta have a recovery system. So my boss said, well, see what you can do. So I looked around, I could find a machine that did what it did for $86,000. Well, I've got people in the lobby from Taiwan and South Korea that want to do those jobs. 26 jobs I sent to Taiwan because of the environmental rules in San Jose, California. And that's, yes.
Are you getting close?
About that. No, I'm not tired. I didn't see the clock. So.
It's up above.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Howard Covington.
Good morning. And I'm a Reading-born person, born in 1941. I've been around Shasta County and Training County for the better part of all my life. My grandfather and father, uncle had property, commercial property in Training County as well as Shasta County. I'm an advocate of property rights, and that's what I like to address. If civil government is given power over property, then the government becomes free from the control of its citizenry and controls them. Unalienable property rights are fundamental in the protection against feudal ruler tyranny. John Adams learned that such tyranny is the inevitable result of losing the inalienable right to own and use land unencumbered by government interference. Quote, the moment that the idea is admitted into society, that property is not as sacred as the laws of God, and that there is not a force of law and public justice to protect it, then anarchy and tyranny will commence. Property must be sacred, or liberty cannot exist. James Madison not only affirmed the sacred nature of property rights, but emphatically proclaimed that the highest priority of government is to protect these unalienable rights. Government, quote, I quote Adams, government is instituted to protect property of every sort. The reason I decided to come here today is this article from the Record Searchlight, Tuesday, July 23rd. There's two articles there. Frustration builds on bridge project, board takes up chapel issue. I just have some observations as a citizen from that. I am aware that the two properties here in the article are not identical in scope. One's public property, one's private property. However, I feel that governmental process is. Tudor Perini Corporation set up a shop near Lakehead without county permits. Anselmo tried to get permits, got no response from the county. Tudor Perini has met with the county several times since complaints by local residents. This is the first meeting of this board in 20 years. It happens to regard the Anselmo issue. Tudor Perini Corporation is violating building, grading, and administrative codes. Anselmo submitted complete permit applications and twice paid requested fees. It is not known how many permits Tudor Perini needs. Anselmo has spent over $100,000 just on engineering of his project. Has Tudor Perini employed Shasta County craftsmen? Anselmo has, according to the paper. My conclusions and observations. How many people in the United States use Interstate 5 over the bridge Tudor Perini is building on a daily basis? How much money has this corporation contributed to Shasta County? Two more sentences. Does Shasta County plan to red tag the project and make Tudor Perini tear it down? Tudor Perini must be a lawbreaker. I've never met Mr. Anselmo. I know who he is. I've seen him on a couple of occasions. I've never met him and I don't even know him. Anselmo, an awful lawbreaker? I think not. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you, Howard. Next person is Bob Rowan. And then the following person, so we can kind of get ready. If I can get ready here, is Ricardo Wilkinson. That would be the next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Bob Rowan. I'm a resident of Shasta County for about 8 years, Trinity County for nearly 40 years. I know Mr. Anselmo. He and I met. We're both former Marines. I met General Christmas back in the East Coast, and General Christmas has great things to say about Mr. Anselmo. I've been to Mr. Anselmo's property several times, and he's done a wonderful thing for Shasta County, and Shasta County should get out of his way, and let him continue doing what he's been doing.
Ricardo, you're on, is that Richard? Oh, well then we'll call you Richard. How's that?
Hello, can you hear me okay? My name is Richard Wilkinson. I live in Reading here. I've been here 23 years. Before that, we lived in Santa Cruz Mountains. In the early 70s, we built a home there in the county of Santa Cruz. And it was built in 3 editions because we didn't have the money to do it once. And each time we built it, the permit was $100 for each edition. That was the cost of the permit. And there was no cost for coming out and doing the inspection. Now that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, because the building in this county is not very cheap. But anyway, I am not a relative of Mr. Anselmo. I know who he is, and I've had a chance to walk through his chapel one time. And I'd like to ask a question here. How many people in here want that chapel torn down? Raise your hand. I've been reading about what's going on, and I think it's become a personal vendetta with a couple of people. They are bound to win no matter how much of our money, as county money it costs, they wanna win this thing. That's all I have to say.
It's our money. Yes.
Diane Stark.
Did she tell you that you couldn't use this? She said I could use the car.
The next person is Bill Mull.
She checked.
We just went up to Anselmo yesterday. We only live a few miles from there. I was very impressed with the whole place. The chapel is absolutely beautiful. From what I read in the paper, this man has spent a lot of money, a lot of effort to really make this place beautiful, to employ a lot of people, to just really give to his community. And I think it's a darn shame that the county would even consider not putting this through and passing this just because of a chapel, because of a religious vendetta, which is going on all over our country right now. And I support it 100%. I'd also like to say that Chandra and Mandy, the two girls that work in the winery, we came up there yesterday not knowing anybody or anything about the place. They gave us a private tour there. Absolutely, just really gracious people. If you want to go up there and just see how beautiful it is. And my hats are off to them. I mean, these are the way business people should be and the way they should treat people. And I want to see this project go forward. And thank you for your time.
Good morning. My name is Bill Mowell. I have sort of the dog in this fight. My eldest daughter rents the property that I own in Reading, and my youngest daughter has done work for the Anselmos. That being said, I'm afraid that Shasta County is losing very badly this fight in the court of public opinion. It is my belief, because I have known Mr. Anselmo and his wife for quite some time, that if Shasta County would be willing to sit down and negotiate out of the public eye so that we don't have any press or anybody trying to grandstand, this thing could be settled in a day. But Shasta County has to relinquish the unreasonable demands which border on being vindictive.
Yes.
Mr. Anselmo has been willing to settle this issue if the demands from Shasta County would be reasonable. Everybody has to win, but if nobody has to win, this thing can get settled. And I believe that is the case. This area, and by the way, raise your hand if you've been to his area. I'd say it's pretty representative of the general population in Shasta and Tehama counties. His area will become the second largest tourist destination draw in Shasta County. Shasta County can't see anything in front of them because of the past vindictiveness on certain people that work for the county. One of the gentlemen who stood up here and said that he sees nothing wrong with anything that has been done up there, I would have to concur. Everything that's been done up there has been done and done first class. And I hope the three of you have been there. I would close by saying that this meeting should never have taken place. This should have been resolved a long time ago. I am so afraid that we are bordering on the ridiculousness of it that we cannot see a reasonable resolution. So it is my hope, and I think everybody in this room's hope, that this thing can be settled and settled reasonably. I would hope that the three of you can make some kind of a recommendation that will put an electric prod in the people who are in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
Dolores Licerdo, excuse me, Licerdo.
Good morning. I didn't get your names when I was back there. Do you mind repeating your names?
My name is Bob Miller. I'm chairman of the Board of Appeals.
John Page.
Charles Adamo.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple concerns in regarding this meeting that's taking place, because as you know, you basically fall to where there is laws that you have to follow, okay? There's only 3 of you. As you know, it takes 3 votes. How is this going to be fair if one of you decide not to vote yes? Because basically, if you have 2, you can't move forward with the project. It takes 3. It's like the council members or board supervisor, it takes 3 votes to move forward. So my concern, I do believe that from what I've been reading, is basically it's not going to be a fair appeal here, because there's only 3 of you. But also I pulled up some information. I'm not sure if this is the same one, but from what I see, do you mind turning that? From what I saw on the website, I pulled some information. I see different names on there. So my concern is, where did you 3 come up from? So, am I correct? Are these other people who are supposed to be on there? Because I don't see your names on there. Okay, so my concern is, where's your name on the list before you vote or before you move forward? So, I mean, if this is going to be a big decision for Mr. Anselmo before you move forward, my concern is, are you the ones who've been appointed by the Board of Supervisors, because I don't see your name on the list.
This is a voluntary position. It was run in the newspaper, an ad, anybody can apply for this. We applied, accepted the position, it was appointed by the county supervisor.
Okay, according to...
Hang on just a second. Would you respond to this, please? This is something that's kind of getting out of order.
Yeah,
No.
Mr. Chairman, I would encourage you to listen to, accept comments. This isn't a time to have interaction with members of the public.
According to this list also says 9 members. You're appointed by the Board of Supervisors, even though you volunteer, okay? But there's supposed to be 9 members, but so far I see 3 of you, but 3 of you are not even on this list. So my concern, I hope that you are appointed, because if you're not appointed, you have no right to make a decision against Mr. Anselmo if you decide to move forward. So I'd like to see you to maybe get some advice before you move forward, because this is on record. So I appreciate it if you do decide you vote yes to move forward, but we need answers regarding this list. So I'm just concerned.
And that's legal.
Thank you.
Is that Elizabeth here?
Good morning. One of my comments is that I read that this would have been acceptable had it been built on the property where their private home exists. And I just think that that's a little bit odd, because the property that it is built on is their private property. Of that private property, which is a massive amount of acres, a good portion of it is open to the public with various aspects of their business, various buildings. Yes, many people in this room have gone into the chapel and seen it. However, it is a private chapel for the actual devotion to God. And that should be protected. The fact that it happens to be on the winery's property, it's a beautiful augmentation to what the property has to offer, but it is nonetheless a private building. It is not something that anybody can go into whenever they want to, just like there's other buildings on that private piece of property that the public does not go into whenever they want to. They get nicely guided tours, if that's going to even happen. The other thing that I want to bring up is, if you would have this building torn down, environmentally, that's an awful thing to do. That is tons and tons of material unnecessarily going to the landfill. It just doesn't make sense. But most of all, I don't think it makes any difference whether this chapel is on their home's property or on the vineyard's property. It is a private house of worship, and that's not uncommon in Europe, and he shouldn't be penalized for bringing a European custom to Shasta County.
Joseph Williams.
Morning, gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Joseph Williams. I'm a co-owner of one business and a sole owner of the second one, and I'm a 20-year resident of the Inwood area, about a mile and a half up from the chapel. I have watched over the last 10 years or so an old ranch in disrepair brought back to life, or nearly a renaissance in our area. And with this, a wonderful community resource also provides jobs and tax revenue for the county. Now, I don't share the political, economic, and social views of Mr. Anselmo, nor do I share his Catholic faith. Yet I see in no way that this interferes with my appreciation of his efforts and the uplifting and aesthetic experience of that chapel, which I drive by most every day. To remove this would be an obscenity. Moreover, I'm concerned that certain political issues and attitudes lie underneath some of this contentiousness. And pardon my French, but using an old crass analogy, it seems like an old pissing contest. I have owned the Shasta County General Plan and Zoning Plan for many years and have familiarized myself with them. Two compelling contents of that is, one, repeated efforts to essentially the public interest or good for the present and the future, and two, administrative options that would allow remedying all sorts of unique situations. I'm requesting that this board take the most prudent path available by choosing a method to reconcile this situation, which has only weakened trust in the county administration as well as its treasury. This is the way to best support the public interest or good, that is, choose a true solution and allow this beautiful chapel. Thank
you. Dick Fighton? Is that? The next person, excuse me for just a second, Terry Raposa would be the next person.
Good morning. My name is Dick Fighton. I'm a resident of Shasta County. I'm sitting here looking at 6 suits that all demand about $300 an hour, of which Mr. Anselmo is going to pay half of that. That's like about $1,800 an hour that we're sitting here spending. The other $900 is the taxpayers' money. We taxpayers are really getting tired of this. It was advertised in the paper here recently that the county has spent in the neighborhood of $500,000 already in attorney fees on this issue with Mr. Anselmo. Then I hear, well, we only spent $250,000 because the other balance comes out of a fund amongst all of the county. So that's free money. Well, that's not free money. That's still taxpayers' money. The only way that money comes is from taxpayers. So somewhere along the way, you folks got to come up with some program to put a stop to this insanity. We taxpayers just don't have any more money to give to these stupid things that have been going on here with Mr. Anselmo. And for that matter, for all the other things. We have a lawsuit going with Caltrans about the bridge down at Knighton Road. Where does that come from? I mean, this Board of Supervisors in this county, it's just incredible what they're doing to us taxpayers. And you folks maybe have an opportunity to put a stop to this and quit this insanity. Thank you.
Good morning. Dick kind of stole some of my thunder, but one of the things I think we need to understand is that the $520 some odd thousand that's been spent on attorney fees to fight this thing with Mr. Anselmo is absurd. Not too long ago, Patrick Jones, Mike Stewart, the sheriff, and myself, I was the MC of a meeting in Shingletown. And we discussed the problem of not being able to send deputies up there or a deputy up there because of just not, in one way, having the funds, in the other way, that young man who was up there had left for another job. Now, when you stop and think about that, you talk about community protection, and at one point, the sheriff's office sends 2 deputies to hand Mr. Anselmo a form to tell him to tear down his wall. I mean, think about that. That sounds a little vindictive to me. And I'm sure that they were maybe pushed into doing that. That's just an opinion, which I have a right to. But I really believe that, that this board needs to come to a conclusion just to stop the madness. At least, you know, encourage the fact that we need to have some kind of settlement on this whole thing. One other thing too, is it Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Yeah, you were appointed in 1975 and you other 2 were appointed in 2010. Now, tell me why that at this particular point, 3 of you being here, and you sir since 1975, why in the world haven't you filled the other 2 seats? Now, I checked the other day, and all of a sudden there's a rush of applications. Maybe that's because no one knew you existed? So I hope that Ms. Lucero was not correct, and I hope that you do have the ability to make some sort of decision. But is that correct that the quorum has to be 3? Is that correct legally?
Yes.
I think you have to answer that, don't you? You don't have to answer it? Is it?
Mr. Chair, would you like me to answer that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, this body is duly constituted and...
And the quorum is how much, sir? How many? Is 2 a quorum here, sir?
3.
Well, 3 is a quorum, so therefore if they don't all agree, it's a moot point, is that correct? I'm just trying to clarify this. I'm a simple man, just trying to clarify this, sir.
An action can be taken by 3 members of the board.
Only. Okay, that answers my question. So it is a little befuddling that all of a sudden we now have applications for, there's letters upstairs that are just all of a sudden appearing out of nowhere, and we can get this filled up. But hopefully you guys can make the right decision. I'm sure you've all done business here. I'm sure you have the right intentions. You know, I believe that you're all men of integrity, and I believe that you'll do the right thing. But it does give me pause when I have to ask a question like that with my taxpayer money. And I have to ask a question like that, and I'm getting hedging not from you, sir. And I appreciate you being candid and honest and making your attorney answer the question. So thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Clarification, is there other applications or people that have requested to be seat on this board?
Every 3 months, I have put it in the newspaper and posted notices of vacancy, requesting interested persons to send letters of interest. We have 2 vacancies on the board. The current deadline to provide letters of interest is July 31, and within the last few weeks, I have received 3 letters of interest.
4.
For a clarification, I've been on this board, how, I don't know, since 1968. And I understand originally that it was set up, it's a 2-year term. and I presume you get re-elected or reappointed every 2 years. I found myself being the only person on here, but I think that probably a lot of the problems that were existing with the building department and people that have permits to build homes or whatever, evidently they was working their problems out and it wasn't necessary to go to the appeals board. That's what I presume, because I was never invited to come to a meeting, so I suspect that that was true. Now this one here, they've been unable to work it out. It has been brought to this board. Whatever authority we have in it, I'm not quite sure myself, but I do know that the three of us are going to try to do the very best that we can to try to get the county, in this particular situation, working together, trying to make this work. Now, I'm not sure it's going to work, but that's my feeling. And if there's anybody that now you said the deadline was the 31st, and that would have been to be able to settle on this appeals board today. Why isn't there two other people on here today then?
All right.
Mr. Chairman, what I understand the clerk to have said is that there are applications, the deadline is the end of July. They will be considered by the Board of Supervisors for appointment thereafter to the vacancies on this board.
I still don't understand, as important as this was, and as much, you know, that it makes it hard to yeah, I mean, people are going to choose sides, and it's pretty obvious there's been some sides chosen prior to this meeting here with the audience. Why is there not two other members on this board?
Thank you.
Ask your board of supervisors.
Yeah.
Right now, the only person I can talk to is the clerk and our county attorney, and that's the one I'm asking the question of. What can we do? Can we just
Reconvene and they get a full board.
Vote. Make the right decision right now. Vote.
3 yeses.
Yes.
3 yeses.
3 yeses.
3 yeses.
Vote. Vote.
Now's the time.
hang on for just
I say recall election too. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would encourage you to, if you're going to have discussion, have public discussion, number one. But number two, this has been agendized for the meeting. You can certainly continue a noticed meeting if you choose to. And in fact, in light of the likelihood, once you get to the appeal hearing portion of your agenda and consider what I understand to be considerable evidence, you may want to continue the hearing in any event. If you want to put on the agenda, a future agenda, consideration of requesting the board for more appointments before further action is requested by this board, that's certainly an option you have. But right now it's been agendized for the hearing, the public comments, conclude those, and then the public hearing.
Take a vote.
Take the vote.
Take a vote.
Vote no.
If, number one, I appreciate everybody that did speak today. It's very important to me that people speak their minds. I really have a problem if why this couldn't been after July the 31st if we actually had applicants that sat on this board, so we could be a full board. And I don't understand why this can't be put off until after July the 31st, if that's as soon as people can be appointed to this board. So we can have 5 people up here representing the Shasta County, basically, is what we're representing. And the people of Shasta County is part of Shasta County. So I personally would rather see a full board up here before we take any action at all.
So as I indicated, this board, by 3 affirmative votes, can take any action you choose to, whether on the merits of what's before you or to continue. If you, as a board, a 3-person board, unanimously say we want to continue this or put this over, you can do that. You can also, and in the absence of that determination by the 3 of you, proceed with the agenda as noticed.
Well, I make a motion that we reconvene after we have a full board.
Or vote. You gotta go.
I'll second.
There's been a motion made and second. Is there any question on the motion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
And I say aye. So the motion is carried. So are we through now?
I believe that you concluded public comments. I understand that you decided to continue the hearing without proceeding to the appeal, and I don't believe there are any other items on the agenda. So I think you're at the
Then we stand adjourned. Now, we would have public comment at our next meeting, and I'm sorry that we don't have a 5-member board up here myself. So we're adjourned. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for coming out.